How's it going, everyone? This is a live video feed cam in Key West, Florida. If for some reason I get knocked offline, or if you just want to keep following up on the status of this hurricane, it's projected to go near this area of Key West, Florida. You can see the winds are picking up, the palm trees are moving back and forth. The volume's a lot louder. I have it tuned down a lot. Waves are picking up. You see the clouds starting to move in from the outer bands. So this could be ground zero for Hurricane Irma, and most storms that go over Cuba, they get broken up pretty easily. But since the massive size of Irma, there's so much energy in there, and plus the eye's kind of just been boarding along the northern coast, kind of just following it up, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens around Florida on the west coast as well. Naples, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Tampa, and eventually maybe even the Panhandle. And we really need to pay attention to this. Parts of Alabama, Georgia just called in a bunch of evacuations about the lower half of Georgia. You got situations with Lake Okeechobee that if there's just so much rain in Okeechobee that could overgo the dikes, and that could flood out a significant portion of South Florida as well, even though that the South Florida wouldn't have the direct eye on the east side. It could influence it that way. So plus you're going to have significant storm surge in the Naples area, it looks like, if the storm continues on its current track. A lot of forecast models, the spaghetti models that I've seen, they show almost all of it going on the west side of Florida. We've already escaped that time, that window where this storm could have went out to sea and not affect any United States. If for some reason, whatever, if I get knocked out, like I said, you can follow up and you can watch this at keywestharborwebcam.com, and you can follow and see the storm. Even in 5 to 12 hours, this place is really going to be moving, swaying back and forth, I imagine. The outer bands of a Category 4 Irma is approaching South Florida. However, Irma could very well hit West Florida as a Category 5. Usually most hurricanes that hit Cuba would lose lots of intensity. However, since Irma is so massive, and the majority of the hurricane is over water, and the eyeball has been able to stay off the shore for a significant amount of time in hot ocean water, they are predicting this storm to strengthen in intensity in waters in the Gulf. If the models are correct, and we get more of a north direction, Irma's eye will go near Key West, and Miami is not on the cone just yet. Decides to take a forenortherly turn as they expect. Now, if this storm continues on its current track, how they're not expecting that, but if it does continue on its current track, then all bets are off. This is in the Gulf, and we're talking Louisiana, we're talking Alabama, and this storm does look like it's going to be in the Panhandle of Florida. It all depends, so I wouldn't say Miami's out of the woods just yet. You never really want to say you're out of the woods. You really don't know that until it's past the vertical part on the map, at least. All things can change.
Irma is moving toward the west near 12 miles an hour, 19 kilometers/h, along the north coast of Cuba. A northwest motion is expected to begin later today with a turn toward the north-northwest tonight or on Sunday. On the forecast track, the core of Irma will continue to move near or over the north coast of Cuba this morning and will reach the Florida Keys Sunday morning. The hurricane is expected to be near the southwest coast of Florida Sunday afternoon. The interaction with the terrain of Cuba has weakening the hurricane a little. But Irma remains a Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Irma is forecast to restrengthen once it moves away from Cuba, and Irma is expected to remain a powerful hurricane as it approaches Florida. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 70 miles, 110 kilometers from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 195 miles, 315 kilometers. The minimum central pressure reported by a reconnaissance plane was 937 millibars, 27.67 inches. Issued at 7:56 a.m. Jose, a little weaker but still a dangerous Category 4 hurricane. At 8 a.m., or 1200 UTC, the eye of Hurricane Jose was located near latitude 17.8 north, longitude 60.7 west. Jose is moving toward the northwest near 13 miles an hour, 20 kilometers/h. A continued northwest motion is expected during the next couple of days. On the forecast track, the core of Jose will pass close to or just east of the northern Leeward Islands later today. Maximum sustained winds are near 145 miles an hour, 230 kilometers/h with higher gusts. Jose is a Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Some fluctuation in intensity, up or down, could occur during the next 24 hours. Afterward, gradual weakening is expected to occur. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 35 miles, 55 kilometers from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 140 miles, 220 kilometers. The minimum central pressure recently measured by an Air Force Hurricane Hunter plane was 944 millibars, 27.88 inches. Issued at 7:46 a.m. Katia weakens to a depression near the Sierra Madre Mountains. Heavy rainfall threat continues. At 7 a.m., or 1200 UTC, the center of tropical depression Katia was located near latitude 20.1 north, longitude 97.7 west. Katia is moving toward the west-southwest near 2 miles an hour, 4 kilometers/h, and it is expected to continue drifting toward the west-southwest until dissipation. Maximum sustained winds are near 35 miles an hour, 55 kilometers/h with higher gusts. Katia is expected to dissipate over the mountains of Mexico later today. The estimated minimum central pressure is 1,004 millibars, 29.65 inches. Here is the hazardous weather outlook for South Florida. For today and tonight, see weather.gov/SRH.tropical ? offers equal MFL pound HTI, and now the extended outlook for the period Sunday through Friday, see weather.gov/.
Yeah, so I was actually following this, and I see the storm does get below 900 millibars again before it hits Florida. It looks like it's going to be going around the western edge of Florida, going up into that Naples region, Fort Myers, Tampa, the Panhandle of Florida. Looks like some flooding could happen all around there. Flood out Lake Okeechobee is very plausible. And then you also have a Crystal River, which Crystal River is right up there on the western edge of Florida, and it's only at 5 foot sea level, and they've had a lot of problems at Crystal River where they had to close it down. The waste is sitting there, about on 3 sides of the waste is ocean water. Not really good. And then here you do see Jose, which is a Category 4 right now, and you know it's been spinning around for weeks, projected around the 20th or so of Jose impacting New York and Pennsylvania. This is what I found. I found 163 mile per hour gusts is estimated with the storm. It could even intensify beyond that because there's some really hot water in this region. So you're looking at a Cat 5 right here, potentially impacting Florida. You can see how it eventually comes back off of Cuba and into Florida. It's still 130 miles an hour coming off of Cuba. 133. That's pretty far from the eye too. 140, you see that? So it's going to be coming off of Cuba pretty hot. 145 right there. 147. 153. 159, you see that? That's a very strong Cat 5 right there hitting Key West. But some of these winds are on the stronger right northern quadrant of the storm. 166 mile an hour, 167. That's really strong, and that's still pretty far from the eye. On this model showing it pretty much off the shore, but you see there's still going to be very strong winds coming up into that Naples cool region right here. You really can't go by these wind projections like the accurate truth, because they even admitted that things can change very easily, so you just gotta keep following it. For here, this looks like it could be going ahead to the capital, Florida, Tallahassee. (9/11) Tallahassee. As you can see, the storm is spending a significant amount of time hitting the Santa Clara region. The storm is still very well organized. Still getting 123, 130 mile an hour gusts. So this model still has it coming in as a very high Cat 4 on the ECM model. We got 150 around the Cape Coral region, Tampa. Left the Gainesville, in the Crystal River, Tallahassee, Panama City. Still gotta really look out for this too. Here's the GFS model. Here's the GFS model. Just taking it over Cuba. And the thing about the GFS model, this is the model that actually had the storm going more of a east, staying more to an easterly track. Which actually, look at this, they're showing the storm actually going to a northeast at some points, hitting that Naples area pretty hard, which would could send a lot of flooding into Miami still. This area could probably impact like Okeechobee more. Orlando would, some of these interiors would get more flooded out. Gainesville would get more flooded out with that projection. Let's take a look at the heat of the water. You see the storm was in 83, 82. But it's going to get into 85. I saw an 85 in there. Look at that, 85 is going to 85. So it's going to increase about 4 or 5 degrees. So that is going to strengthen the storm. 86 degrees over Key West. That's when we do see the 87. It's So it's definitely going to heat up before it hits Florida again. I see it dropped down to 895 millibars according to this, before making landfall in West Florida. So that window's passed for the storm to miss a state. There's no chance now it's going to hit a state. Unless some drastically strange reason it gets pulled out totally western projection, which would hit Mexico. These are the Irma GPS tracks. So actually they're showing at 980 milli, but you can see I'm finding it's going to be stronger than that. You can see the last couple shots of this, you see the green and it's still intensifying in the eye, because the eye is still over ocean water. So it's still intensifying. It's still a well organized storm. Cuba did not break up the storm. So we still gotta really pay attention to this. Look at Jose get really close. It's gonna be wiping out some Caribbean still. Looks like it could be heading up 938. It could be a strong tube hitting New York, Pennsylvania on that one. Then you have Irma right here at 897 millibars, stronger than Hurricane Andrew, hitting around the Naples, Coral, Tampa area. This is another diagram. It does show it temporarily dipping south, only one further into Cuba, and then making a turn again. So they are showing this making a turn on the coast. But all these arrows were pointing toward Miami a couple days ago, so you really still got to keep an eye on this for hitting on that very western edge of the Panhandle, and even in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, they got to really pay attention to the storm as well, because it could turn at any point, really.
Evacuation order, they are on their own once Hurricane Irma hits. This afternoon, the number of Georgia counties under a state of emergency grew to 94. Mandatory evacuations begin in coastal areas tomorrow morning. Channel 2's Richard Elliott is live outside GEMA headquarters in southeast Atlanta with the governor's warning. Richard.
Governor Deal and other state officials are getting constant update from the people here at GEMA. The governor basically told anyone who ignores that mandatory evacuation order that you're essentially on your own until the storm passes.
That mandatory evacuation will go into effect tomorrow, that is Saturday, September the 9th, at 8 o'clock a.m.
Governor Nathan Deal joined other emergency officials in urging everyone inside the mandatory evacuation zone to get out as quickly as possible. That order covers virtually everywhere east of I-95 along the Georgia coast and all of Chatham County. Deal warned that if folks ignore that order, they are on their own.
We're not going to go out and drag someone out of their home if they don't want to leave. But as I indicated, likewise, we're not going to send our emergency personnel in to rescue you when there are other people who have heeded the warning and need their help.
Deal said those people who stay will have to wait until help can reach them. 5,000 National Guard troops are already being placed around the state to help, and the state is opening up every single state park for free to evacuees.
Ultimately, between our lodging capabilities and overflow camping, we will have capacity for over 10,000 people.
Deal and other state leaders urged people to leave now before the evacuation takes effect Saturday morning.
Help us help you. Don't take chances. Don't put yourself in dangerous situations. If you are in a mandatory evacuation area, evacuate.
Now, Florida evacuees are mixing in with Georgia coastal evacuees on the interstate. That's what's causing all of those traffic jams. GDOT is encouraging Georgia evacuees use one of the 22 other hurricane evacuation routes other than the interstates. We're live in Southeast Atlanta. Richard Elliott, Channel 2 Action News.
So Rick Scott said if you cannot escape from a mandatory evacuation zone, to give them a call, that they'll take you to a FEMA camp. Even if you are elderly, disabled, have pets, have no money, or any reason, they will get you out. I don't know where they're going to take you, maybe a FEMA camp, so don't hold me to it. Storm surge warnings in effect for Brevard County line, Volusia, around the Florida Peninsula, Florida Keys, Tampa Bay, Lake Okeechobee, Florida Bay. Current watches and warnings: a storm surge warning and hurricane warnings are in effect for Broward, coastal Collier County especially. Palm Beach, far south Miami-Dade, we're still going to feel some impacts of the storm. Mainland Monroe, and also all the Florida Keys. Hurricane warnings in effect for Glades County and Henry County, even inland. And that's what place could be totally flooded out from Lake Okeechobee. Warnings in effect for Glades, Henry, Broward Inland, Palm Beach, Metro Broward, Metro Palm Beach. Storm information. It's about 310 miles southeast of Naples, Florida. Storm intensity, 155 mph is expected. Movement is west-northwest, 285 degrees at 12 miles per hour. Category 4 Hurricane Irma continues to move west-northwest just off the northeast coast of Cuba and will impact South Florida later today. Tropical storm force winds will begin to overtake South Florida later this morning, with hurricane conditions as soon as this evening. Hurricane Irma continues to remain an extremely dangerous threat for all of South Florida, with direct major hurricane landfall likely over the southern and western portions of the area. Regardless of the precise location of landfall, the main concern will be devastating major hurricane force winds across the western half of South Florida and catastrophic storm surge, particularly for Collier County. Life-threatening storm surge will not only affect the immediate coast, but locations well inland.
And you and everyone you know are dead. All of you. Because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're buried. This moves 20 miles to the west, and you and everyone you know are dead. All of you. Because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're very, very lucky. And your kids die too. This moves 20 miles to the west, and you and everyone you know are dead. All of you. Because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're very, very lucky.
Hurricane Irma's outer bands have some type of cloud seeding. What the fuck are they doing? Are they directing this storm? Or are they trying to weaken it? Are they trying to steer it? Or are they trying to intensify it? I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out. two nuclear plants that are now in the way of Hurricane Irma. You have the Crystal River Nuclear Power Plant. Crystal River Nuclear Power Plant is between Clearwater and Gainesville on the western edge of Florida. Not too far from Gainesville either. That area, I think, is the most concerned nuclear facility right now we got to be paying attention to. This is Crystal River. Crystal River had a lot of problems. They had to shut her down because they found the containment had been breached. Too expensive to try to fix something like this. You can see that it's the nuclear waste is surrounded on three sides by water, and they have some drainage going out into the ocean, so you get an idea of practically float away. If you think about it, look, we're at 5 feet, 5 feet, 5 feet all around the nuclear Crystal River. Pay attention to this one. So they had some breaches on the containment wall. Another nuclear power plant that could have issues with Irma. It's not exactly right on the coast. However, it is next to a main river. So if they have some serious flooding upriver, Joseph Farley, pay attention to that one because they have nuclear waste right next to the river as well. It is a higher elevation. It's not 5 feet. It's pretty high up there. So the main problem would be the river. And the river is really high up there too. How does Joseph Farley have a 4.8 review? I don't know. Anyway, this is on the Georgia-Alabama border. The Chattahoochee River. Pay attention to the Chattahoochee River. We get some serious flooding over here. You gotta watch it. It's not that far away from there. Here's a scenario that they're showing of surging seas risk zone map. I don't think it's going to be like this, but this gives you an idea of the potential possibilities out there, that's for sure. And they do show Okeechobee overbreaking its dikes. I mean, I've been up there at pretty high dikes, but you never know really if it could be a heavy rain event. If the storm stalls north of the Okeechobee, some serious problems. Plus the way they've directed the water flows. This is almost similar to the water flows of what they've been trying to do anyway. Flood out these zones.
The National Weather Service in Melbourne has issued a flood watch for east central Florida, including the following areas: coastal Volusia County, Indian River, inland Volusia County, Martin, northern Brevard County, northern Lake County, Okeechobee, Orange, Osceola, Seminole, southern Brevard County, southern Lake County, and St. Lucie. Through Monday evening, Hurricane Irma will move toward South Florida Sunday morning and progress northward up the Florida Peninsula Sunday night. Tropical rain bands with locally heavy rainfall will begin to affect the area on Saturday and Saturday night ahead of Irma, with the core of the heavy rain arriving by Sunday afternoon and Sunday night. Widespread rainfall totals are expected in the 8 to 12 inch range Saturday through Monday, with isolated amounts reaching 15 to 18 inches in spots. The heavy rainfall will have a high potential to cause flooding of low-lying flood-prone areas. Flooding will also affect roadways, creeks, and small streams. Remember to not drive across flooded roadways. Turn around. Don't drown. A flood watch means there is a potential for flooding based on current forecasts. You should monitor later forecasts and be alert for possible flood warnings. Those living in areas prone to flooding should be prepared to take action should flooding develop. Flash flood watch remains in effect from this evening through Monday evening. The flash flood watch continues for a portion of South Florida, including specific areas of western Palm Beach County. From this evening through Monday evening, the U-South. Army Corps of Engineers has reported that the threat of Hurricane Irma could produce overwash or overtopping at Herbert Hoover Dike culvert construction sites during the storm event, including locations near and around C-12 culvert construction site near Pahokee and Belle Glade. Impact: there is a possibility of flooding within the specified areas due to significant overwash that could aggravate local flooding conditions during the storm event. This concern is greatest for locations around C-12 culvert. Mandatory evacuations. Mandatory evacuations for towns along the Lake Okeechobee shore, including Pahokee, South Bay, Lake Harbor, Crooked Lake, Pelican Lake, and Canal Point by order of the governor. Report to designated pickup points at Lake Shore and Pahokee Middle Schools by no later than 5 p.m. tonight. A flash flood watch means there is a possibility of flash flooding within specified areas adjacent to Lake Okeechobee due to overwashing or overtopping. A flash flood watch does not mean a breach has occurred or is imminent. Stay tuned to the latest information and the advice of your local emergency management officials. Move to a safe location if an evacuation order is issued for your area, overwashing, overtopping, or breach occur, or a flash flood warning is issued for your area. Flood watch remains in effect through Monday evening. The flood watch continues for flood watch for a portion of South Florida, including the following areas: coastal Broward, coastal Collier, coastal Miami-Dade, coastal Palm Beach, far south Miami-Dade, inland Broward, inland Collier, inland Miami-Dade, mainland Monroe, metro Broward, metro Miami-Dade, and metro Palm Beach. Through Monday evening, excessive rainfall from Hurricane Irma, which will lead to possible widespread flooding. Impacts: floodwaters entering structures, significant to major street flooding with road closures, areas of rapid inundation at underpasses, low-lying and poor drainage areas, and possible evacuations and rescues due to floodwaters. A flood watch means there is a potential for flooding based on current forecasts. You should monitor later forecasts and be alert for possible flood warnings. Those living in areas prone to flooding should be prepared to take action should flooding develop. The Tropical Weather Outlook, issued at 8:01 a.m. Corrected to reflect that Katia is a tropical depression. For the North Atlantic, Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico, the National Hurricane Center is issuing advisories on Hurricane Irma, located near the coast of central Cuba, on Hurricane Jose, located a couple of hundred miles east of the Leeward Islands, and on Tropical Depression Katia, located inland over eastern Mexico.
$15. $15. You're charging me $15 for this. If you take pictures, I'm gonna break your phone. Give me the phone here. $15 he's charging me. Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys. Get out from here, motherfucker. Yup. $15. Go ahead, motherfucker, from here.
In all fairness, I've been to these Quickie Mart places and they already charge $15, $20 for a pack of water. So it's not like crazy jacked up prices, like $50. So I don't know if he's going to get in trouble, but it's a little high. That's pretty much what these places charge anyway, the convenience, I guess. Some people say, hey, well, supply demand situation, if it's too cheap, you're going to have one person buy all the water and then sell it off very expensively. This is the southernmost point in the United States. As of 9:09, 2:30 p.m. Starting to get some wave action up here. I've been actually watching this post. I've seen police here. I've seen people taking pictures. Saw some women walking out here. Yeah, they're trying to clear people from here because it's not going to be too much longer where it's you're going to have some serious waves coming in. Hurricane Irma continues to remain an extremely dangerous threat for all of South Florida, with direct major hurricane likely landfall over the southern and western portions of the area, Collier County and northward, Tampa, Cape Coral. Regardless of the precise location of landfall, the main concern will be devastating major hurricane force winds across the western half of South Florida and catastrophic storm surge, particularly for Collier County. Life-threatening storm surge will not only affect the immediate coast, but locations well inland. That's right, because a lot of this area is swamp. Preparations to protect life and property should be complete. All persons in South Florida should take shelter this morning and be prepared for hazardous conditions through early Monday. Hurricane Irma is a potentially deadly situation and should not be taken lightly. Everyone is urged to exercise extreme caution in order to protect their lives. Starting to see the water going over the barrier here already. Everyone is urged to exercise extreme caution in order to protect their lives. Protect against life-threatening surge. Have possible devastating impacts across the Gulf Coast and coastal Miami-Dade County. Potential impacts in this area include widespread deep inundation with storm surge flooding greatly by powerful battering waves, structural damage to buildings with many washing away, damage greatly compounded from considerable floating debris. Locations may be uninhabitable for an extended period. Nearshore escape routes and secondary roads washed out or severely flooded. Flood control systems and barriers may become stressed. Extreme beach erosion. New shoreline cuts possible. Massive damage to marinas, docks, boardwalks, and piers. Numerous small craft broken away from and lifted offshore and stranded. Protect against the life-threatening surge, having possible significant impacts across the immediate Broward and Palm Beach counties. It looks like it's going to hit the west a lot harder, and even in the Midland, because the eye is so large that Okeechobee area could get really flooded. Even in Hendry County all the way up. Orlando, you gotta watch this as well. We've also seen deadly tornadoes, 2 waterspouts. The wind. Protect against the life-threatening wind, having possible devastating impacts across much of South Florida. East of the Atlantic coast, potential impacts in this area include structural damage to buildings, some with complete roof and wall failure, complete destruction of mobile homes, damaged greatly by large airborne projectiles. Locations may be uninhabitable for weeks or months. Numerous large trees snapped or uprooted, along with fences and roadway signs blown over. Many roads impassable from large debris and more within urban or heavily wooded places. Many bridges, causeways with limited access unable to pass. Widespread power communication outages. Also protect against life-threatening wind, having possible extensive impacts across near the Atlantic coast and Gulf Coast. Flooding rain. Protect against life-threatening rainfall, flooding having possible extensive impacts across South Florida. Potential impacts include major rainfall flooding may prompt many evacuations and rescues. Ditches and canals may rapidly overflow their banks in multiple places. Flood control systems and barriers may become stressed. Flood waters can enter many structures within multiple communities, some structures becoming uninhabitable or washed out. Many places where flood waters may cover escape routes. Streets, parking lots, and underpasses become submerged. Driving conditions become dangerous. Many road bridges closures with some weakened and washed out. Tornadoes. Protect against a dangerous tornado event having possible significant impacts across South Florida. Potential impacts include the occurrence of scattered tornadoes, can hinder the execution of emergency plans during tropical events. Several places may experience tornado damage, with a few spots of considerable damage, power loss, and communication failures. Locations could compromise roofs, torn off frame houses, mobile homes demolished, boxcars overturned. Large trees snapped or uprooted, vehicles tumbled, and small boats tossed about. Dangerous projectiles can add to the toll. Precautionary preparedness actions, evacuations. Broward County, mandatory evacuations ordered for areas east of Federal Highway. Barrier Islands, low-lying areas of mobile homes. Collier County, mandatory evacuations of mobile homes. Goodland, Everglades City. Chicxulub, starting at 1 p.m. Friday. City of Naples will be ordering the additional mandatory evacuation orders Saturday morning.
This moves 20 miles to the west, and you and everyone you know are dead. All of you. Because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're very, very lucky. And your kids die too. This moves 20 miles to the west, and you and everyone you know are dead. All of you. because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're very, very lucky. All the way up to Jacksonville, this moves 20 miles to the west, and you and everyone you know are dead. All of you. Because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're very, very lucky.
During the next few days while it moves west-northwestward over the eastern Atlantic Ocean. Formation chance through 48 hours. Low, 10%. A storm surge warning remains in effect and a hurricane warning remains in effect for the following locations in Florida: coastal Broward, coastal Collier, coastal Miami-Dade, coastal Palm Beach, far south Miami-Dade, inland Collier, inland Miami-Dade, mainland Monroe, and metro Miami-Dade. These are the 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time conditions on Saturday, September 9th. Flood watch in effect through this afternoon. Hurricane warning in effect. Flash flood watch in effect from this evening through Monday evening. Today, cloudy with showers likely and a slight chance of thunderstorms. Windy.